In 2007, Australian producers Global Creatures took the world by storm with Walking with Dinosaurs: The Arena Spectacular, which has been seen by over 7 million people worldwide. Now, they're teaming up with Hollywood studio DreamWorks and director Nigel Jamieson to bring to life an awe-inspiring live spectacular created here in Australia and based on the much-loved film How to Train Your Dragon.
Hi, I'm Gemma.
And I'm Sarah, and we're both sharing the role of Astrid.
Hi, I'm Ramian.
And I'm Riley, and we're both sharing the role of Hiccup.
In the How to Train Your Dragon Arena Spectacular. We'll be taking you behind the scenes to uncover the theatrical magic and engineering genius that will bring to the world the most extravagant and technically sophisticated live show ever staged.
Not really, ever. How to Train Your Dragon is the story of a Viking teenager who rejects his tribe's dragon-slaying ways when he encounters a very special creature.
In this behind-the-scenes exclusive, you get to see just how much work is going into the show. Hundreds of people from around the globe are working hard to make the Arena Spectacular a reality.
We want everybody to be able to enjoy this. Encouraged Nigel and the creative team working on this to be able to take license, to do their own version of it. So fundamentally, it's going to tell the story of How to Train Your Dragon, but it's going to do it in a unique way.
And there's no one better to tell this unique story than our director, Nigel. Whoa! I mean, right from the beginning, he's had to take some pretty crazy scenes from the movie and try and make them work in real life.
Some of the challenges we've taken on, you'd never dream of taking on unless, you know, they were kind of set by this kind of previous kind of model, in this case the movie. So, for example, in that moment when you've got, you know, a large dragon, which feels and looks like a breathing, real creature, is flying through the air with a young boy on it, and then suddenly, you know, the tail breaks and the dragon goes into a tailspin, plummeting down to the ground. The boy falls off it, you know, spirals through the ground, catches the tail, clambers back on board, pulls up at the last minute and flies off. Doing that physically around an actual physical space above 15,000 people. That's been a challenge. One we've had an absolute ball with. So developing the flying system that can do that, and then an incredible projection system which turns the entire environment into a projected world. So we've got 1,000 square meters of floor and a 60-meter screen at the back. So as you see that actual flight and that actual boy, you know, flying through the air, we're able to create the entire environment around that.
Well, to make a story like this work, we're going to have dragons. So today, I'm here with Sonny Tildes, the creature designer, who along with Phil Miller, the head of sculpture fabrication, have created these dragons from scratch. So I believe there's 24, is that right?
There's about 30.
30 dragons in the show.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you were first approached about the show?
Well, look, I thought it would be a natural sort of transition from what we did with dinosaurs. And then Nigel got on board. He's just a fantastic director, but he is not short of ambition. And this whole thing just kind of grew. One of the things that makes me lose sleep is just the sum of its parts. It's so complex. So we've got you guys on stage.
Balance in space, good.
We've got flight track dragons. We've got fire breathing. We've got smoke rings. Just simple little gags like Gobber is fending off the dragon. And he shoves it in the Gronkle's mouth and it comes out his delightful backside in the form of wood chips. So in its tail region it has this air cannon essentially where we stuff it full of wood chips and it fires out the back.
3, 2, 1.
When you go to these meetings at the start and you sit there with the directors and the producers and DreamWorks, you find yourself saying yes to a hell of a lot of things and you have to be confident, you have to have some confidence in what you do. But there's nothing to say that this should work. It's just so layered, I suppose, and that's the thing that I think is presenting the biggest challenge for us.
Coming up, how to make a dragon.
So you've got a lot of people working flat out all the time on all the different components of the dragon.
And theatrical magic.
the very first step of the process of making or building a dragon?
It starts with a sculpture. It starts with a little model. We made a little tiny natter about that big. Then we scanned it, and then we made the patterns from that. The skull, for example, is taken from the sculpture, the little tiny one, at 1/20th scale, and then we blow that up, sculpt it full size, and that's got a fiberglass skull. Within that, at the same time, there is the mechanical department, engineering department, who are making internal mechanisms. There's another department called soft fabrication or sculptural fabrication, making muscles. And then there's a skins department who are making skins. So you've got a lot of people working flat out all the time on all the different components of the dragon based on the little model we started with. So for all of these dragons, it started with a small model, so it gets bigger.
So how many people does it take to operate one dragon?
For each of the chassis characters, you have a driver, you see a little cockpit in here. You have a main voodoo puppeteer who's using a controller to move all the main body movements, and you have an auxiliary puppeteer who's operating the mouth and the sounds and some of the facial expressions. So they're playing a keyboard which has all the sounds on it, so for roar, growl, fart, whatever. Yeah, it's a very sophisticated show, obviously.
Just seeing how much work goes into these creatures, I don't think they're making dragons at all. I think they're making magic.
Everyone has different backgrounds on the set, not just dancers and actors. Let me introduce you to some of the other members of the cast. We have Godfrey, he plays Snotlout.
Doggy.
And this is Dexter, he plays Fishleg. And these are the Joker twins, Collie and Luke, who play Roughna and Toughna. Ta-da! Together, we make an awesome team.
Everything that this Arena Spectacular is doing is on a huge scale. Take this projection screen, for instance. Now, a normal cinema screen is about 110 meters square. You can fit up to 9 screens on our back wall alone, and then double it on the ground space. The best thing about our projection screen is the way it's used. It's not like a wall at all. In this sequence, I'm actually running on the ground and falling down a hole. So I thought I'd go and learn more about the animations that I work with every day.
This is your running up the wall scene.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I'm jumping from the rocks, and then there's the ladder, yeah.
So, in some cases, what we assume will work aren't necessarily working when we see it live.
Yeah, okay, so when you're putting this all together, like, what's the first thing you keep in mind?
Well, scale's a massive thing to consider, because what we're seeing here is only 3 or 4 inches tall. Yeah. But in the real world, we're talking 15 to 18 metres, I believe. So we need to make sure that the speed of these things is at a point where we're not making the audience feel seasick.
Yeah. So it's harder than it looks, but, so is the whole performance side of it. Every day, we have to do the wall run. We're up there for like 15 minutes, and we're like, hey, can I come down now? Can I take a little break? You can't just sit there in the harness, because you have to like stand on the wall, which is standing like this, but you're sideways. So you have to hold your body up and you're all like contracted, and you're like, oh, I gotta pretend like I'm running in place on a wall sideways.
When we first got up on the wall, like, my stomach, after the first run, my stomach was just so sore, and my neck, I mean, I could feel walking up the wall, my neck shaking on the way, because, like, it's the heaviest part of your body.
I noticed, I was like, I woke up in bed and I was like,
couldn't move it, yeah.
Oh.
We're just like dead from the row.
It's a lot of fun, but we've both done maybe 3 climbs and we're just knackered. I can't wait to build up strength, and I just can't wait to get tough. We've never done the same stuff every day. That's what's been really cool. It's like every hour we do something different. Like the very first day, I think we did rope climbing, we did some harness stuff, we did bow stuff with a big stick.
Coming up, exciting news in the dragon world.
It's a bit of a milestone for us.
And lessons on how to fly.
show is so huge. I don't even know how we're gonna pull it off. Dude, I'm gonna go see how the dragons work.
No, man, come on, I'm taking this one.
Dude, no way.
No.
There's only one way to settle this.
Rock, paper, scissors. We make the dragons fly on this show by using a specially created flight track.
The track, on Friday they put the final pin in. It's actually never been put together before, this amazing track in the sky. And
the dragons fly on this track, and so do we. So we definitely want to know that it's all secure. It's quite a massive set. It's the size of a football field with a metro system on top of it. Flipped upside down with carriages carrying dragons travelling up to 20 kilometres per hour. How many people does it take to build something like this set?
Stage One in the UK, who've been responsible for the track, the floor and the wall. There's over 100 people full-time with Stage One, and we've been working on this project for nearly 9 months now.
That's a massive, that is huge. The carriages are huge too. Each carriage with a dragon attached to it is about as heavy as an elephant. And with 8 of them above my head, I definitely want to know that we'll be safe.
Every hoist that is lifting you or a creature is designed to a very, very high level of safety. And if that safety layer decides that there's something not right, we just shut the whole thing down.
Riley, check this out. You know, Greg told me that in the flight track there's so many switches that if something as small as this were to stop working, the whole show would come to a grinding halt.
What? That is pretty intense.
I know, hey.
Today is an exciting day on the Dragon set because for the first time, using a totally revolutionary technique, Toothless is finally walking. I'm going to go see Sonny to find out more.
It's a bit of a milestone for us. We've got Dominic here, who's our head of digital design at CTC. And on his screen you can see a virtual version of Toothless. And for one of the first times behind him right here, we see Toothless, the real Toothless, walking in a somewhat similar fashion. So, big moment for us.
What's exciting and difficult about this is the new technology.
The basic design of Walking with Dinosaurs that we've borrowed from for the larger creatures, we lift the foot through the chassis and we place it down. And all this stuff that happens up through the leg is passive, it's just reactive. Whereas here on this front leg, for instance, we have about 7 axes driving that leg. Lifting it up, placing it down, shrugging the shoulder, tilting the paw at just the right angle, then placing it down on the ground. And that's actually easy for us to do, but it's very difficult for a robot to do.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, slow down. This is getting confusing. Let's step back for a moment. There are actually 5 types of dragons in this show. There's shadow puppets, which might look small, but once they're lit, some of the shadows will be huge. Then there's your traditional puppets. How cute are these baby dragons? These are small enough to be operated by hand. And the bigger puppets have full humans inside them. The 3rd type of dragon is a flying dragon, and they've been specially built so that we don't fall off. The last 2 types of dragons are the big ones on the ground. The first type is driven around on a miniature car. And then there's Toothless. There's a flying Toothless and a mini Toothless. But the main Toothless that we see in the show is a whole new piece of technology. Basically, they took all the controls that they normally put underneath the creature and stuck them behind him on a big boom arm.
Toothless has to carry the whole show. So the boom arm is a brand new idea for us. The beauty about this creature now is we can squat him right down to the ground. He can crawl really low, but one of the magical things is he can fly. This boom has the ability to lift this creature off the ground and fly at low levels around the arena.
Toothless isn't just a puppet, he's an animatronic. The cutest one I've ever seen. And to make his face smile, it's got all these paddles in it that push his cheeks up and move different parts around.
We've got a sort of thing up here, which we can do to reveal all the teeth on both sides. And obviously we've got all the stuff we can do with our lids themselves.
The bits in his body, legs and wings mean that he can move in all sorts of ways, and this is a reason why it's been so complicated for the team to make him do things that we think are simple, like walking.
There are some things we kind of knew would be difficult, and there are a lot of things that we had no idea would be so difficult. So for us to see him walking like this after some real struggles over the last about 3 or 4 weeks, it's a fantastic moment for us.
But so much more work to do.
This has to be the most complicated creature we've ever made. What it can do, I think, we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of its potential, so it's very exciting for us.
So right now, the team is teaching Toothless how to walk, and then they'll teach him how to fly, how to regurgitate a fish, and all those other cool things. So Toothless is another cast member, just like me, and now we've both got to learn our moves so that we can put on an amazing show.
Coming up, my smashing performance.
Everyone's taking huge safety precautions on the set, but you know what? There are some surprising ways you can hurt yourself.
We keep discovering new, complex, difficult things. Like, we're talking about a multi-ton creature, which is quite dangerous as it moves around if you're not careful. So they have to be aware of that at the same time as they're aware of giving the impression that they've just almost been hit in the head by a giant dragon. They have actually almost been hit in the head by a giant dragon. So there's a reality aspect to it which is quite challenging.
Hey, did you guys see when the guys put on those little Gronka costumes? They had to put their heads in its butt.
Within the show we have the immensely complicated animatronics. We also have some simple vaudeville-style, knockabout, rough puppetry. One of Nigel's ideas for this was to combine lots of different puppetry techniques as much as we could. So there's elements of glove puppetry, shadow puppetry and flying things, marionettes, all within the show as well as our animatronics. And this is part of these gags where the performer is inside the creature. So it's a combination of suit and puppet where it appears to be a dragon and the person fighting is just one person.
This is more than 3 years in the hoping and the making to finally see these amazing, amazing dragons come to life. I mean, they're just so majestic and so magical. People are going to be blown away. They've never seen anything like this before in an arena show.
Well, we're a long way from being finished, but with only a matter of weeks left of rehearsals, a plan is already set for how to get all these dragons in huge pieces of set traveling all around the globe.
It's pretty amazing, but this massive show with all its dragons and machinery can be set up or brought down in less than a day. And guess how many containers it needs?
How many?
Not one, not two, but 40 whole containers. That is one big show. And the first place we're going to ship those containers is Melbourne for the world premiere. Okay, Sarah, so what's your favorite dragon?
I love the little egg biters. They're so cute.
No, I'd have to go with the stingers, guys. I mean, they're so fast. It kind of freaks me out. In a good way.
I'd have to go with the Gronka all the way. I mean, have you guys seen how far you can blow those smoke rings? It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go with Toothless.
You're so predictable.
No, really, guys. He is so awesome.
You're right. I mean, I'd say he could probably be the coolest thing in the show.
Oh, no, come on. I mean, there are so many cool things in the show. I mean, the projection gets me every time. It's amazing.
No, the dragons that can fly, that's so realistic.
The dragons themselves look so realistic. Sometimes I forget they're puppets.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh my gosh, you guys, we only have a couple of weeks left to go. I'm so nervous.
I'm not.
We'll see you guys in a few weeks.
Bye.